hello. How are you doing, my darlings? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hello, little Kate. How are you, my darling? How are you? Oh, Jen. Hello, little Lynn Smith, I see is in here. Let me back up a bit, my darlings, and see who's been chatting before I came in. Little Anna. Hello, Anna. Darling. Hello, Teddy Bear. Dr. Emily. Hello, dears. Hello. Hello. How is everyone today? I myself, my darlings, I'm doing quite well. Hello, Brant. Hello, you little sexy biscuit, you. I've seen your little videos, darling. You've got something, my dear. You do. Is everybody ready for a bit of tea with me? Hankster, hello, Hankster, darling. Hello. Oh, much love to you too, Jen. Much love to you too. Hello. Oh, it's going a bit fast for me. I've got to look. No tea but pumpkin spice. Oh, good sunshine, my darling. You drink that pumpkin spice, dear. Hello, silent witness. Hello, darling tea girl. Hello. How lovely to see you as well. Little Kate. Hello, Adele. Adele. Hello, darling Patrina. Hello, Patrina. How are you? Cat's a warrior. Hello. Oh, it's so lovely to see you all here, coming to have a bit of tea with me. A bit of chat on this lovely, lovely day. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, Duchess, darling, why do you have your straight wig on with a tiara and not your little caps that you wear? I decided to be a little different today. I'm wearing a new frock. Do you love my new frock, my darlings? Lovely little African motif it is. I do love it. Lovely, and I'm wearing my sapphires, so I figured I'd wear my Duchess of Beaverton tiara. Isn't it lovely? And I want to apologize ahead of time, my dears, for the noise. You see, there's several things going on here at Beaverton Castle. There's a lot of moving and shaking, getting ready for my big adventure to America. So I've got all my little worker bees packing things and putting things away as well. Things that I will not need on my trip to America, and things that I will need on my trip, which is most of my jewels and most of my clothes and things like that, darling. Do you love it, Cindy? Isn't it beautiful? It's a bit different from the little boring gowns that I wear. And they're not boring per se, but a bit boring for me. This is a fresh frock. I've got to move the hair so you can see my lovely earrings, my little drop earrings here. It's just a fresh little look, a very cooling look. Because you see, my darlings, it is hot as shit here in the United Kingdom. And us Brits are not used to the heat. We are used to cooler weather, rainy weather, but not the heat. And a lot of us don't believe in air conditioning. And of course, we don't have it here at Beaverton Castle either. So another noise that you may hear is a fan. I have a floor fan. I had Blanche bring it to me for this occasion, because there's no way I could possibly be with you and not glisten a bit. And I know that glistening is all right, but I'm talking about a thunder shower coming from my body. Not glistening, darling, a thunder shower. That's how bloody hot it is here. For me, anyways, for me. Thank you, Shavita. I do enjoy it. It's very light, it's very fitting, it's very cooling, and I do love the colors. I do. Now, I must tell you, my darlings, I must tell you why we're here today. You see, Miah contacted me last week, and he said, I'll tell you about Blanche in a minute, my darlings. Hello, Illegally Blonde. If I missed anybody, I do apologize. I will get with you there in a minute, all right? I'm here today, my darlings, because Miah contacted me last week, and he said to me, he said, Duchess, my darling, and he calls me my darling, and I think it's so sweet. It is. He said, Duchess, my darling, can I ask a favor for you? Of you, he said. Hello, MiahThon. And I said, well, darling, I do a lot for you as it is, but I suppose you could ask for another favor. So he said to me, he said, I'm doing a Mayathon, another Mayathon, such like my 2K celebration. He said, and I would love for you to be a part of it, he said. And I said, well, what is the Mayathon for, darling? And he said, well, did you hear about our dear Samantha, our sunshine girl on the internet, the YouTubes? Sunshine and sunflowers. And I said, well, of course I did, my darling, I did. I had a speck about it. I said, do tell me a bit more. So he told me a bit more about it. And he said, I would love for you to be part of the Mayathon and do tea with the Duchess. Would you do it? And my darlings, I didn't hesitate for a second. I said, absolutely I'll do it, my dear. Absolutely. Just tell me where to be, what time to be there, and I will arrive with my tits, well, still a bit sagging, darling. I haven't made it to America yet, but I'll be there with bells on. Not my bell, because the ding-a-ling is still gone from it. The way I did the Jeopardy game, the ding-a-ling just fell off, my darlings. Hello, chats, my dear Wendy Ward. Oh, there you are, you sunshine and sunflowers, darling. I do love you as well, my dear, and I'm so glad I could be here to support you and to aid in the Miah Marathon. Or Mayathon, excuse me, I get things mixed up sometimes. Dr. Emily, hello. Oh, thank you, Nee Marie. Thank you, my darling, I'm trying. It gets harder these days with all the moving and shaking I'm getting ready to do. Hellbell, hello, darling. Hello. And I would love to say as well that if you look at the tagged comment, the pinned comment, as it says, there's a little message that Miah gave me to send to you, okay? And it says basically, my dears, that instead of super chats and super stickers sent to me for Miah, if you would please click the link that's attached to the GoFundMe for Samantha and give a donation, and every little bit counts, my darling. No donation is too small. Unless you're a real cheapskate and you give a penny. That's a bit small, my dears, it is. But, and seriously, my darlings, any little bit counts. So if you have a little extra, or you were going to give a super chat to me for Miah today, please, in lieu of that, please, I implore you, to send it to the GoFundMe for Samantha. That is wonderful. Now let's begin our tea. Does everyone have their tea or coffee or whatever they're having for delicious lubricant for their mouth, as I like to call it? Some people like to call it drinks. I like to take it a step further and say lubricant for your mouth. We are very classy today, my dears. We are having our tea. You got your coffee? That's wonderful, darling. That's wonderful. I do not have any cakes or any biscuits today, my darlings, because I had a rather large lunch this afternoon, I did. I heard there were several people that had quite a large lunch this afternoon. And it's just, I couldn't possibly, but I will drink my tea. And before I forget, my darling, oh, Kathy, my dear, that's a rumor. That's a rumor, my darling. True classy, true way to sip your tea. To drink or sip your tea. You never put your pinky out, my dear. You don't like this. No. No. You clench like this. Like I'm going to say hello to you, like I'm doing a bit of a puppet. Hello, darling. And you just clasp like this, darling. And you sip. Pinky in, my dears, pinky in. And you sip. Now, I know you might think that my tiara today is a bit much, but I wanted to see what it would look like with my long wig here, my long straight hair. Usually I have my little updo when I wear my tiaras, but I wanted to see today what it would look like. And I do like it. I do like, possibly not with such a flashy frock as this, maybe not, but it doesn't matter, darlings, it doesn't matter. Don't worry, Kathy, darling, don't worry. We will learn together, yes. And it does match my necklace and my lovely glasses. I have a bit of sapphires in my glasses and sapphires in my tiara. I'll tell you a quick story about my little tiara. Hello, nothing. Hello, darling. A bit of a story I think I've told before, but I'm going to tell it again. And why? Because I absolutely can, because I'm the Duchess. The story of my tiara is, it is the official tiara of the Duchess of Beaverton. And technically, my darlings, oh, thank you, my darling. Do you love it? Isn't it gorgeous? It's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. My little butterfly, darling. I love him. I call him Patrick. I do. Patrick. Little Patrick. The story of my tiara is this, my dears. It's the official tiara of the Duchess of Beaverton. And technically, my darlings, I'm supposed to leave it behind. I am. However, I've said it before. See, because you have to understand, my husband is dead. Most of you know my husband is dead. Which is why I'm moving to America. Which is why I have the opportunity to move to America. Because my son is taking over the dukedom of Beaverton. And although he's still a bachelor, he is, ladies, you can line up for him, darling. You can line up and be the next Duchess, my dears. You can. He's still a bachelor, but technically I'm supposed to leave my tiara behind. For it's supposed to go to the next Duchess of Beaverton. I still retain the title, of course. And I'm retaining the crown as well. I'm taking the crown with me. This will always be my tiara. And whoever comes in will have to get their own, I'm afraid. Because this one is coming with me. Oh, it is. I couldn't pass up these sapphires, darling, to some two-bit bitch. I couldn't do it. It's awful to talk about my future daughter-in-law. I know it is. But she's not getting her grubby little slutty hands on it, darling. She's not. She's not. I don't know that my future daughter-in-law will be a slut. I don't. I'm just referring to her as that when it comes to my jewels. When it comes to my jewels, don't touch my stuff, my dears. I am packing it all away. Dr. Emily, my darling, are you not feeling well still, my dear? Oh, I hope you feel better, dear. I do. I didn't think the tiara was too much and your necklace could be a bit bigger. Oh, bigger, darling. But did we all know that wearing a tiara is a sign of a married woman? The Duchess is a widower. Well, darling, my necklace could be a bit big. I think my necklace is quite big, darling, don't you think? Oh, it's caught here in my frock. It's quite a large necklace, darling. If it gets any bigger, I think my head would fall off. Oh, the crown. This just is the crown. Doesn't mean if they're married or not, my dear. It's just the official crown of the Duchess. That's all that is. And I am a widow. I am. My poor darling Duke. Good afternoon, Aaron, my dear. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Edgar. Oh, you are worthy. You all are worthy of me. Well, some of you are worthy of me. That's right, my dear. I'm definitely Sugar House. I'm definitely holding tight to my family jewels. I am. But I want to show you something that I received the other day, my dears. Something delightful I received. Not the other day. It was within the last 5 hours. It came flying through the air, my dears. Straight into Beaverton and to my mailbox. To my mailbox, and I want to show it to you at this moment, my darlings. Miah received a fan from a fan to give to me. Isn't this lovely? Look at this thing. Look, ready? Let's do it how they do it. Look at it. Isn't this delightful? Look at it spark. Oh, it's the wrong way, my darlings. I'm so sorry. It sparkles and everything, darling. Isn't that lovely? And it does come in handy, especially these hot days. It does. And I'm a true royal now because I have a fan. I do. Hello, Hojo. Are you a fellow Brit as well? Hello, my darling. Is it hot where you are, darling, in the United Kingdom? Because it's bloody hot here in Beaverton, I tell you. Bloody, bloody, bloody hot. Are you hot, Hojo? It's been hot where I am, darling. It has been hot where I am. And there's another YouTuber called Monsieur Mike. And I'm not quite sure where he lives in the United Kingdom, but he's been a bit hot himself. Because they had a bit of a conversation about heat. And it's definitely hot here in Beaverton, and it's not because of the men that are around moving my things, even though they are delicious. Even though they are delicious. I am, Lynn, I am. And one would think that I'm going through the menopause. But I'm not, my dears, I am not. I still produce eggs. Yes, I do, my dears, I do. I'm still fertile, even at my age. I am very fertile. Much too young for the menopause. I am, dear, I'm much too young. Being 54 is just like being 24, it is, I do believe. I'm all right about the question I asked, Duchess, sweetie. Oh, I didn't read your question, my dear. I'm so sorry. I was not paying attention. I was too busy fanning myself. Let me go back to see if I can find it. Wendy Ward, hello, my dear. Hello. Lydia, hello, darling. I can't find your question, darling. Can you please put it up again, darling? Can you please just type it again, darling? Sweet, sweet silent. How do you keep your great figure with all the socials you attend? My great figure, my dear? I don't have a great figure. I've been portly all my life. I have been portly. And the soirees and things have died down in recent years. They have. I'm going to push myself closer to you, my dears. The soirees have they died down in recent years. Not doing too much as we used to. As we used to. It seems, and it's not just because of the recent pandemic, but in the latter years, it doesn't seem as it used to back in the beginning, back in the 80s and 90s, dear. It really doesn't. And of course, I was only part of the family in the latter half of the 80s. But it was still, we had a bit more soirees and things, darling. Hojo, darling, you know, we don't do that, dear. We don't do that, we clench. We clench, we pinch, and sip. The pinky thing is but a myth. It is but a myth, my darling, it is. I'm enjoying quite a bit of tea. I feel very parched. I feel very parched. You can still get a bow. Yes, Suko, I can. No worries, Tom. You are deeply, deeply okay, my dear. No worries there, dear. Thank you so, get this, my darling. Thank you so much, my dear, for posting that. Yes, I can still get a bow. Yes, I will be on the search. Hello, DDH, dear. How are you? I will be on the search the minute that my plane wheels hit the ground in America. I'll be on the search for a man. Actually, I'll be on the search for many men. Yes, I will. How am I as fat fingers? That fat bastard, I do call him, and I do say that with much love. That fat bastard, darling, Miah, and his little fat fingers. They have been doing good lately. Luckily, lately, everything that I've done in the recent times has stayed afloat on his channel. They have. His chubby fingers haven't deleted a thing. And I'm glad of it. I'm glad of it. There are some great men in Canada. Well, my dears, this is the thing, Sugar House. This is the thing. I'm going to America, and I will be close enough to the border. But if the men want to see me, they must come to me. They must cross the border to me. I will not cross the border for them. I will not do it. I will cross to go for a little vacation, but I will not cross the border for a man. Desiree, I will be approaching the United States within the next month. Some point in September, I will be touching down in the United States. And I'm hoping, my dears, to get there before another little lockdown happens. I don't want to be in mid-air, flying to America, just to be told I must turn around and head back to the United Kingdom. I don't. And Blanche, she'll be following me shortly after. She has things to do. She has things to take care of. Oh, thank you, Cass Lou. I love you too, my dear. And the like button is truly appreciated because it does help in the algorithm. It does, yes. Thank you, Dee Dee. Thank you, my darling. I do appreciate it. Oh, darling, you did it again and I missed it. I missed it again. Oh, let me find it. Let me do find it. Ladies are pleasantly plump, not portly. I'm portly though, my dear. I don't bother. I don't mind saying it. Your question, yes. I suspect there's something a bit stronger in that tea in your cup, sweetie, darling. You suspect, darling. You would suspect, wouldn't you, darling? But I will tell you, my sweet, that there's nothing in this tea except for tea. No, my dear. Because I will be watching and having drinks with you tonight while you're singing and badly and doing your little shamoans with Miah. I will be in my little boudoir with the TV on, with the YouTube on the TV, watching and singing along and getting blind stinking drunk with you all. I will be, yes. I'm drinking the tea and spilling the tea. That's right, darling. That's what we're going to be doing. You will be with me, Dee Dee. You will be with me, and I will be with you. I will. You won't see me, but there might be a moment. And I will tell you this, my dears. There might be a moment where I will astral project myself into Maya's body. You'll hear my voice. You may see a mannerism or two of mine. But it won't be me. But it'll be me coming through Miah. Won't that be lovely? It'd be a bit creepy as well, I'm sure. I'm sure. Let's see, I've got to backtrack. I'm so sorry. I try to look at the comments, my darlings, but then I look at my jewels and my eyes go away from the comments and they focus on the loveliness of my jewels. I am so sorry. Let me get back here and find things. Oh, Naya, hello and welcome, my darling. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Yes, Hankster shall be a good time. Yes, yes, yes. That ring should get more likes. You love it. You love the ring, my dears. I do too. It's one of my new favorites. It's very big, very bold, very sparkly, and I do love it. Because I'm a woman that likes to talk with my hands. And why not fill your hands with sparkles, darling, so it gets more attention. You know how it is. You know how it is. We do love attention. Consider yourself a royal beaver. I thank you, my darling. I am a royal beaver. Beaver, after all, the Beaver Gang is named after me, my dears. I don't know how many of you knew that, but it's true. The Beaver Gang is named after me, the Duchess of Beaverton. I do love it. And I appreciate it, and I'm very honored. Tom, you want to see the Duchess singing along with ABBA. Ah, wouldn't that be just dangerously delightful? It would. I do, T-Girl. I do have a bit of a past. And I want to talk to you about a new book that I'm thinking about writing. Oh, Amanda, you and your little ABBAs, you people. I heard about all this ABBA stuff, dear. Thank you, Cindy Lou. I feel it, Kathy, I do. I feel extra sparkly today. Do you have any group that we can join? I would love to join a group that you're a part of. Oh, Shavita. I don't have a group yet, my darling, but maybe when I come to America, maybe you'll see more of me on these live things, darling, and we can have a group of our own, we could. The platform is the Beaver Gang, but even though it's an honor of me, I suppose we could have our own little group, couldn't we? We could. Well, my dears, I don't quite say I would love ABBA. I wouldn't quite say that, my darlings. But I would say that I tolerate it. I tolerate ABBA. Don't listen to it much myself, but if the servants are playing it, you know, do a Get Ready With Me. Oh, wouldn't that be delightful, Dee Dee? That would be lovely. You can see how I put myself together. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the book that I'm writing, my memoirs. My memoirs. And as you all know, my darlings, that before I became the Duchess of Beaverton, there was a few things I went through in my life. There was. I was a chorus girl to make the money. And then when I lost that job, I became a stripper. And that's where I met my husband. Hello, Moon Bear. Hello, what's up, Dutch? Oh, I do enjoy that. What's up, Dutch? I enjoy that, my dear. It makes me feel like one of the common people again. What's up, Dutch? I do enjoy it. I love it, darling. I love it. So I'm thinking about writing my memoirs, dears. And I was thinking of titles. And the title of my memoir, once I finish writing it, is going to be Tits and Tiaras. Tits and Tiaras. What do you think of it? I want to ask your opinion. Tits and Tiaras, yes. For my memoir. Yes. Have I seen the Queen? I did leave Windsor Castle just recently. She's headed to Balmoral for her summer vacation. Excuse the uptick, dears. She's left for Balmoral. I'm going to pop into Balmoral to say my goodbyes before I leave. But I did just come back to Beaverton not too long ago from a stint at Windsor Castle. I was there with her to help console her after Prince Philip died. And of course, the whole Harry and Meghan debacle. I had to be there for that too, dears. I was quite busy. But I do have her blessing. I have her blessing to move to America. Of course, I don't need her blessing, but I implored her to give it to me. It was a move that I need to make, at least. I need to make. And she did give me her blessing, she did. Yes. Which I do. I can't thank her enough for it. I cannot thank her enough. It's a much-needed bit of vacation. It might be longer than a month. It might be about a year and a half, 2 years. Who knows? It might be forever. Have you ever tried to sing bossa nova? I think you could sing some classics better than the original vocalists. I think I could too, darling. I do. I do think I could too. I used to get tips, Susan. Yes, of course I did. I was a stripper, darling. I used to get the pounds, I did. I worked that pole, darling. I worked the pole for all it was worth. I was a plus-size stripper, absolutely, my dear. You would love to see it. I bet you would. I bet you would. Extra room, but they say I will not be moving in with Miah. No, my dears, I shall not. I'm going to have my own little space, my own little mini palace. Yes. Thank you, my dear. Beautiful bosom and jewels would be better, perhaps. Bosom and jewels for what, darling? Tits and tiaras. I do love it, though. Tits and tiaras. Pounding for pounds. Exactly, my dear. I used to eat bangers and mash, Mel. Oh, May, I'm so sorry, my dear. I used to eat bangers and mash quite a lot. I will admit I haven't had any bangers and mash in quite some time. But I will be bringing bangers and mash to America. It's a bit of hot dog and mashed potatoes, it is. A little sausage sometimes. So one might use sausage. But bangers and mash is quite a delicious, cheap dinner. Or lunch. Or supper. However you say it, however you want it, darling. Yes. Dee Dee, I'm not as flexible as I used to be, unless there's a man around. You must understand something, my dears. There's things that I just will not do, or positions I will not put my body in, unless there's a man there, either under me or over me. You understand, I'm sure. Now, somebody asked a question about how it was to be a larger girl, a larger stripper. Well, I will tell you. Yes, my darling, of course I'll autograph it. Of course I will. And I'll do it for free. I know that some people, they do the autographs, say, buy my $30 book. And have an autograph for an additional $15. But I, the Duchess, I tell you, I will not do that to you, my dears. I will not do that to you. I will give you the autograph for free. I will. The book will just cost about $50, but that's all. That's no problem, my darlings. Duchess, I've got family in town. They've been trying to pop in as often as I can. It's all right, lobster mac and cheese farts, my darling. You tell your family hello from me, will you please? Tell them hello from me. Yes. Yes, Shavita, I'm getting to many stories. I'm getting to many stories. Being an overweight stripper, one would think it would be difficult for most people, and it probably would be. But I grew up as a chubby child. I was a chubby child. And I did slim down a bit in my teenage years, you know, my early teenage years. And then depression hit, and I just gained a bunch of weight, my darlings. But I worked with it. I did. I worked with it, and I worked the poles. I did. I did, absolutely. And there were times, I will admit, there were times that were difficult for me. Little aches and pains here, you know. Even a young person can have aches and pains, especially working as much as I did. You know, but I was one of the star attractions, I was. Thunder Cyclone, darlings. Thunder Cyclone was my name. Sometimes it was Cyclone Thunder. It depends on how I remember it. But it was truly Thunder Cyclone was my stage name. Thunder, because I came in like thunder. And I left everything devastated like a cyclone. I did. The pockets were empty, darlings, by the time I finished. They spent all their pounds and quids on me. They did, darling. I had many an angry wife and girlfriend. They never came at me, my dears, but I had threats because I kept taking their men's money. I said, well, my darlings, would you rather I took the money or I took something else from them, darling? And a lot of time they said, I'd rather you took something else. So so I can see where they were coming from. They'd rather have the money than the man. Those were happy marriages, I'm sure. But anyways, yes. So it was all right being an overweight stripper, darlings. But the weight was the inevitable end to my stripping career. But it was also the beginning of my love life. Because you see, each one of us had our own poles. We had our own poles. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, my dear. I'm decked out in the jewels today. I am. This lovely special occasion here, and I'm decked out in the jewels. And they are sparkling and lovely. And the earrings, I'm trying to show my drop earrings here. They're hiding behind my hair. They are. There we go, dears. There we go. Oh, this fan, darling, is wreaking havoc with my hair. Where was I, my dears? Where was I? Oh, yes, the poles. Each one of us girls had our own poles, you see. And I've told the story about how I met my husband, but I will tell you again. For new people, there's always new people coming in. And just as Miah talks about things over and over again, I shall as well, I suppose. So, one night, you have to understand this too. The strip club that I worked at was quite posh. If you could imagine an upscaled strip club with the attendees were people of noble birth, government officials, royalty, if you catch my drift, my darlings. And us girls, yes, we did do hello, Snarky Priest, hello, my darling. Sometimes for the right price, my darlings, we did a little bit extra, if you know what I mean. Well, anyways, my dears, we each had our own pole. The pole was a bit bedazzled, my darling. I loved jewels back then. Of course, they weren't as fancy and as expensive as the ones I wear today. But I used the little crystals and things, darling. I would decorate my little locker. There, I had a little bedazzled locker where I put my everyday wear to put on my stripper wear. And I also would bedazzle this and that, but you had to be careful, my dears, where you put the bedazzled thing on the pole. Because you see, darling, you don't want to be doing a cyclone thrust and accidentally scratch or minge on a bedazzled jewel. And that could happen, darlings, that could happen. It's all about where you display the jewel, where you put it. And you want to be careful, too, because if you slip, my dears, if you slip on your pole and go down, you could end up having, a bit of a jewel in your minge. And that is not good for your minge as well, either. It's not good, darling. It is not good. It is not good. Oh, thank you, Dee Dee, darling. I do love helping out people. I do. Maybe one day I'll have my own channel. But right now, I'm just pleased as punch to help Miah. I am. The emeralds, my darling, I don't know if you're colorblind, my dear. These are not emeralds, darling. They are sapphires, sweetie. I know it's probably hard to see in this lighting. But they are sapphires, my darling. And even if you're colorblind, that's fine too. But just shout out what you think it is, my dear, just like you did, and I'll tell you if it's right or wrong. Well, you have to be careful not to get your minge cut or things stuck in your minge. Yes, Kathy, Prince Andrew was a bit of a patron of that particular establishment. What the fuck is a cyclone thrust? Says Nee Marie. My darling, a cyclone thrust. It is when the music is playing, my darling. I will describe to you what it is. If you can imagine a pole, and imagine a dancer. and the music is playing, and you grab the pole, and you go around a few times, just a few times, around and around and around. And then you lift yourself up on the pole. You spin, 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 spin. And as you do about your 10th spin, my darlings, you grab the pole, you spread your legs, and you bring yourself into the pole, darling. You bring yourself, you thrust yourself into the pole. Almost, you bring minge to pole, darling. Minge to pole. And that, my darlings, is a cyclone thrust. And that, my dears, if you're in the business, will get you the pounds, it will. Because it just shows the men that your minge could take a good pounding. And you're still going, darling, so you can. Yes. That is the truth. That is the truth. Not only will it get you the money, but if you're lucky, it'll get you the right man. It will. It will. Now, where was I? Where was I? We got off on a little tangent, we did. We did. Oh, yes, my husband, yes. So frequently, there would be people of noble birth and government officials, as I said, and royalty, as I said. And friends of royalty, which the Duke of Beaverton was. Now, I must be clear, there is absolutely no royal line of succession in my family. There's no official royal title in my family. We are the Duke and Duchess of Beaverton, yes, but the dukedom was bestowed upon my husband by Her Majesty the Queen in a gracious event, as my late husband Magnus was bestest of friends with Charles all through his entire life. Practically from conception, they were friends. And so the dukedom was bestowed on him, and he was given Beaverton. But the thing, darlings, you must understand about Beaverton, not stolen, my dear, bestowed. Unlike some royal people, we don't steal things. No, we don't. The thing about Beaverton is, darling, it wasn't a major deal that my husband was given the dukedom, because Beaverton is so small. It's not even on the map. It's very small. If you sneeze or blink your eyes, you've gone past it. You have. It's true. Was your husband's mother's, Prince Charles's, wetness? No, my darling, no. Unfortunately, it was some other woman. If, my dear, if it had been, maybe he would have gotten the dukedom sooner. I don't know, my dears, but no. They were just good friends. They were bestest of friends. Since childbirth, or conception, I mean. I said conception, didn't I? I did. Well, anyways, my darlings. So, what happened was, one lucky night, Charles and his entourage came into the strip club. And who would be in that entourage but my dearest Magnus, the future father of my children. So they're sitting there enjoying all the tits flying and the minges flapping, dears, and throwing us the money, making it rain, as they say, making it rain for us girls. And as I said before, now you have to keep in mind, my dears, we had our own poles at the time. Yes, the Prince Charles, Tom, the Prince Charles, yes. And now this was secretive. This was secretive, my dears, because at that time he was already married to Diana. But of course, as we all know, he was having a bit on the side, wasn't he? And so was she. Good on her. Good on her, because what's good for the gander is good for the goose, I say. If your man is gonna flop his bobby in somebody else's pool, then your pool should have another bobby flopped in you, darling. That's what I say. Go for it, my dears. Go for it. So anyways, my darlings. Anyways. It was my turn. It was my turn to go on the pole. And as I was getting ready, the music started, my dears, and I was getting excited. Look, my new fan, isn't it delightful? I was excited because I knew that Prince Charles was out there. I did. I didn't know the other people. They were nothing to really know, darling, government officials and all. I didn't give a care. All I knew is Prince Charles was out there. And even though I knew he was already married to Diana, if I could just get a little brush, if I could get a brush of his royal knob, I would have been a lucky lady, I would have. Just brush against it, darlings, just brush against it. Well, anyways, my dears, my excitement filled my body to completion. Now, keep in mind, darlings, what I said. We had our own poles, darlings. So I go out, my music started. I go out and I start doing my thing. I was doing twists and turns, and I was doing cyclone thrusts, and I was doing it all to the music. Well, then all of a sudden, my pole started to vibrate. There's a vibration coming from my pole. And at first I thought maybe I had queefed. And the vibration from my queef, because it's quite a thunderous thing it is. The vibration from my queef was shaking the pole. But then I realized I didn't feel a queef from my minge. I didn't feel a thing coming from my minge. So I knew it couldn't be that. And at that moment, my darlings, I looked up, I looked up, and I thought, oh shit, darlings, shit. The screws from the pole at the top had fallen. The shaking, darlings, was the pole getting ready to fall, and it did, with me on it still, darlings. I came tumbling down like a great oak tree, being cut from its roots, falling and falling and falling down in a thunderous bang, darlings. But luckily, my darling, luckily, I did not fall on the floor, I did not. Nor did I fall onto a table. No, my dears, I fell into the lap of my future husband, of Magnus. Of course, me falling into their lap did break the chair, and we did end up on the floor. But prior to that, my dears, I fell into the loving hands, the loving grasp of my future husband, Magnus. And from then on, it was history, my darlings, and that is how I met my husband. That is how I met my husband and began the long relationship that would be the Duke and Duchess of Beaverton. Of course, as soon as we were married, darling, of course. That took about 6 months, though, my dears. I wrapped myself around him like he was my pole. I do. I fell for him, exactly, Tom. Literally and figuratively. I did. So that is basically how I met him, my darlings. In a nutshell, I fell into my husband's lap face first, and that's that, my dears, history. So isn't it romantic, Del? Some people say I met my husband as we gazed at each other across the room. Or they tell their children and grandchildren I met your papa as we were dancing in the moonlight at a dance party. What do I get to tell my grandchildren? Your granny met your papa as she was flying, cascading down off the stripper pole. Oh, my poor grandchildren. But it'll be a good story for them, won't it? It will be a good story. And it will go down the generations, it shall. Did your husband carry you over the threshold? No, my darling, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why he didn't carry me over the threshold. He did want to, but I didn't want him to. I was too excited. I was too excited to get to the marital bed. I grabbed him by his tie and I dragged him in, darling. We were running. We were running, darlings. We were. There was no time for slow romantic carries, my dear. I wanted that. And of course, due to customs, my darlings, due to customs, you're supposed to wait before the marriage things, darling. You know how it is. Well, I couldn't wait. I wanted my minge tended to. But I did what I did. It was 6 months, dears, from the moment I met him until our wedding day. I held myself together. Well, let me not lie to you now. He's dead, so it doesn't really matter. Of course I didn't wait, my dears. I had my little lovers, I did. I can't, my dears. I tell you, my darlings, you must know. Your Duchess is a very sexual person. I am. You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it. And I don't often speak of it. But I am a very sexual person. I couldn't wait those 6 months, my darlings. I couldn't. I had a little tittle here and there, I did. A little thing. I couldn't help it, darlings. I couldn't help it. But I married him, and that was the end of my lovers until he died. Until he died. You're a clitoris woman. Well, congratulations, dear. Congratulations, Temple. You're a clitoris woman. Now, I must ask you this, my dear. You say you're a clitoris woman. Now, do you like is it your clitoris you like tended to? Or do you like to tend to others' clitori? I must know. I must know. I did my best, Edie. I did my best. The passion, yes, the passion. It was passionate. He pushed me over the threshold. Yes, dear. He pushed me and I pulled him. Oh, Trisha, darling, he died. Yes, he did. It's been 5 years, darling. Is that a star sign I've never heard of? What are you talking about, Desiree? Thank you, my darling Dee Dee. It's been 5 years. It's been 5 years. It's enough to his name. I don't know what you're talking about, so I'm going to just continue. I do have time for one more story, my darlings, I do. And it shall be the death of my husband. Somebody asked about it. So I will tell you. My birthday, my dear, is September 6th. September 6th. I shall be 55 years old, darlings. I shall. Oh, clitoris woman star sign. That would be a lovely star sign, wouldn't it? Clitoris. So, my dears, the story of my husband's death, my poor Magnus. It's been 5 years. Been 5 years since he passed away. May 14th, I didn't mention it. I grieved in silence. But May 14th, this past May, was the anniversary of his passing. And quite a passing it was indeed, my darlings. Quite a passing it was indeed. My husband enjoyed horses, my dears. He enjoyed riding horses. As do many, especially, the nobles and the barons and the earls and the dukes. Even the princes, they enjoy the horse. The princesses do as well now and then. Well, he was riding a horse one day. He enjoyed riding. And the horse... Another thing you must understand before I continue on with this story is my husband was well packed. He was well packed. He not only had a very large and throbbing willy, but his testicles, my darlings, he had the most enormous testicles I've ever seen in my entire life. They were always constantly full. They were the largest testicles I've ever seen. I enjoyed my husband's testicles. I enjoyed everything about my husband. So you must know that bit of information. Unfortunately, you must know that information before I continue. Trisha, my dear, I dare say he goes beyond a normal measuring stick. He went beyond a normal measuring stick, my dear. And the testicles, they were just like 2 bowling balls, basically, my dears. 2 bowling balls. You must know this for the story to make sense, my darlings. You must know this information. Normally, if he wasn't dead, I probably wouldn't tell you, but he's gone now. Dead 5 years. And I don't think he'll mind. His ghost might come down and haunt me a bit, but that's all right. If he could give me a little ghost tickle, maybe he can give me a little tickle, darling, down there. It'll be worth his little travel from the other realm. Anyways, my darlings, you must know that information. So he was riding his horse one day, and he was galloping along. Galloping and galloping. And of course, you must understand as well, having not necessarily the willy, but having the overly sized testicles, he had to be careful how things were going, if you know what I mean. He had to be careful of things. Especially with the horses, because you bounce up and down, right, darlings? Well, something triggered the horse. Something scared the horse. It triggered him. And off the horse went, galloping and riding like lightning. Like lightning. And I was there, my dears. I was there, and I started screaming. I said, Magnus! Magnus, fall off, Magnus. Just fall off, darling. Can you hear me? Fall off, darling. He couldn't hear me, my dears. He couldn't hear me. And they continued to gallop like lightning. And then it happened. There was a big, huge tree branch. Tree branch, my dears. Tree branch right there. And of course, what does a horse do? They jump. They jump. And that was the last time I saw my husband alive. Because as the horse jumped in the air, I could almost see what was going to happen. And the face of terror on my husband. It was like watching the scariest movie. And the horse was in the air. It was slow motion, my dear, slow motion. The horse was in the air, in the air, in the air, in the air. And as it landed, my husband's body went up and then slammed down, my darlings. Slammed down, bursting his testicles, bursting them. Now, normally I know what you're going to say. How does one die from a bursted testicle? But it wasn't the actual bursting of the testicles that killed my husband. It was the shock of the bursting of his testicles. The shock of it all killed him and he was dead. Like that. Yes. The horse survived, of course, but my husband, Magnus, did not. So when people ask how he passed away, I just tell them, I say he died of a bursting testicle. Of course the horse survived, darlings. It was a bloody horse. It just jumped over a fucking piece of wood. I don't give a damn about the horse, my dears. My husband's testicles burst. And there was stuff everywhere, my dears. And even throw up. I think he threw up a bit before he died. During the shock of it all, he threw up. My poor Magnus. So now, darlings, even though I did enjoy my husband's rather large, overly large testicles, I do have to examine every lover who could be a possible forever lover. And if their testicles are too big, I move them on their way. Because I cannot have another tragedy like my poor Magnus. So I examine them. I say, before we have a little date or before we have it off, I need to see what you're packing, my dear. And they think I'm worried about their willies. But it's not, my dears, it's the testicles. The testicles. Thank you, Karate Karen, darling. I'm honored to be here as well. I do have children, my dear. This was way after the children were born. This was 5 years ago, my dears. I've been married since 1985, so my children were already born. Well, Anna, my dear, one should not have to give up things they love doing because of physical restraint. And typically, my dear, my husband rode for decades, darling, decades. This was just a freak accident, my dear. Because as I said, he used to know how to ride with the horses and take care of his testicles at the same time. But this one particular time, complete accident, took him from me. And I waited, before having another lover, I waited until the coroner arrived, I did. As a matter of fact, it was the coroner that I had. Awfully uncomfortable, Anna, awfully uncomfortable. But it's what he loved doing. And he had his ways, you know. But he never expected, nor did I, for any horse like that to take off. I suppose one should. One should expect anything to happen, especially when playing around with nature and animals and things like that. But we didn't. Thank you, Trisha. I will be taking a shot. Trisha, darling, if you're there tonight during the singing and Shimones, my dear, if you could tell Miah to do a shot for my dear late husband, Magnus, in honor of him, that would be delicious and delightful. And I will be in my boudoir here at Beaverton Castle, taking a shot with you. Darling, I will. I shall. If he had survived, of course I would have accepted him, darling, without his testicles. It wasn't his testicles I was in love with. That was just a bonus, darling. He would have still had his rather large member. And as long as he can get it erect, we would be fine, my dears. But no erection, then there's divorce court, my darlings, there is. No, I kid you, I wouldn't divorce him, my dears, but I would cheat. I would cheat on him. I need a man, darling. I need men. Your Grace, I love to ride, and if I go out doing what I love so much, the better. Exactly. I looked at it that way. Whimsical Mimsy, I did. I looked at it that way. May I call you Grammy? May I? I know that you're known as Grammy within the community. And I do believe as long as you are enjoying what you're doing, when you're going out, or when you're ready to depart this world, then that's fine. As long as I am on top of a man, or beneath a man when I go, I will be happy as pie or cake, darling. I will. It is all about the D, darling. It is, Tom. It is. Especially when you're a single woman. When you're a single woman, get as much D as possible. And if you're with someone or a married woman, you get your husband or your boyfriend's D as much as possible. One thinks that men are the ones that are always horny. Secretly, darling, our minges are throbbing every second of the day. We just like to use it as a weapon. We do. We love to use our minges, don't we, girls? Let's be honest now. We use our minges as weapons towards the men. Yes, we do. They can be treats. They can be rewards. Or they can be weapons. Absolutely, my dears. Absolutely. Pretty genius, are you here? Hello, darling. How are you? We always must learn. If you have enormous testicles, there's always a way to size out a lady style, of course. Because no one needs to bust your family jewels. Here's always, darlings, I never got interested in how he was doing it, my dear. I really didn't. I suppose that I should have. Maybe he would be here today if I did. Do you have a special friend already that you are coming to see in the U.S.? No, Desiree, I do not. Because, my darling, you see, do you think American D will be the same as English D? I do believe the type of D that I go for, my dear, I do believe I will find it there in America. I do. Exactly artfully, excuse me, my darling. Artfully, Corgi, the power of the minge. Trish is a minge warrior. I do love it. I do love it. Do you think you have a sex addiction? I don't think it's an addiction, my dear. I just enjoy it a lot. I do. And why not? Why not? If it's something you enjoy, darling, and it's not hurting anybody, just let your minge flag fly, my dear. Get pounded on the regular. As long as you can handle it. As long as you can handle it. You have minge envy. I think some men have minge envy. The hilarious and tragic story. It is, darling. It is. It's a very tragic story, and it was very sad at the very beginning. But, darling, if my stories can bring a bit of giggle to somebody, then it's worth it. It's worth it. I wouldn't tell it if I didn't want to. And to punish them, that's right, darling, to punish them, you punish the man, you say, look here, Alfredo. You see this glorious hot box, my darling? You see it? I'm glad you see it because you've been a naughty, naughty, naughty boy. And you're not having it. You're not. I'm clapping it up, darling. The hotel is closed. It's closed, it is. It is. Sex advice in the kitchen. Oh, my. Somebody wanted me to do a little sex advice. I don't know if it was a live stream or a video, my dears. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember. I'll have to look and see. I can't remember. The hot box, darling. Yes, the hot box. Yes, my dears. And don't be afraid, darling. Don't be afraid to use different terms for your minge. Don't be afraid. Don't think, oh, it's so disgusting to use things like pussy. Even though, darling, we use that for cats. But you know what I mean, dear. Or my little glistening gap. So, oh, darling, that's so disgusting. That's very disgusting. That's making me disgusted, darling. Okay, well, you want to call it your vagina, you call it your vagina. I might call it my slippery slash, darling. Don't be afraid to call yours names, dear. Or name it yourself. Call it, give it a name like Alicia. I call mine Alicia. Or Hoocha, exactly, Hoocha, whatever, darling. Or call it the beaver, of course. Call it whatever you want to. You're in Walmart shopping, but you're listening. Oh, good, my dear. Attention, Walmart shoppers. Get your items while you can, my darlings, because your shelves are going to be very empty soon. They will. That is all. Thank you. Duchess, would you ever get a leg over on another Duchess? Or does it have to be a Duke? What do you mean by that, dear? Do you mean would I ever shag another Duchess? I don't know what you mean, dear. Or steal the Duchess title? Is that what you mean, dear? We need a regular segment D advice with the Duchess. Dr. Ruth, who exactly, my dear? The Duchess of Beaverton's sex advice extraordinaire. Oh, to have sex with another Duchess, dear? Yes, of course I would. Of course I would. As I told you, my dear, I'm a sexual person. I'm willing to explore. I have explored in my past, my darlings, before, darlings, before becoming a Duchess, I did explore the female form. I did. A bit of lesbian activity happened. It was. And it was enjoyable. I will admit it was enjoyable. Is this something I would go frolicking after at midnight? No, my dears, it's not. But if it should come along, it comes along, you know. But a forever love, I mean, she can maybe come around once in a while, darling, but a forever love, I must have a man. I must. I'm not really polyamorous much, dear. Like a commune polyamory. No. X-rated with the Duchess, yes, darlings. We always end up talking because, you see, sexual things, especially Americans, they get very wincy about talking about things. And a lot of times, if there's a YouTuber that is having a conversation about sexual things, it's typically about themselves. Where I, on the other hand, I like to tell the stories of my life, my sexual life, but I also love to help people answer their sexual questions. Give them the support and give them the information they need, especially my female viewers, which there's the majority of our female viewers. Because you must manage your minge. You must manage it and adore it and love it and praise it and treat it with respect. You manage your minge today, you will have a happy tomorrow. And that is a promise. It is. Did you ever see the skit by MiahThon where the parents try to literally teach their son about the birds and the bees? I have not DGH, but I will check that out, my dear, because I do love the Monty Python. I do. So I will check it out. Absolutely. And it was easy, my dears. My children, my 3 children, Harry, Margaret, and Daniel, they had the most exciting. I had charts. I had a chalkboard. I had pamphlets. I had textbooks. I gave them the birds and the bees like nobody's business, my dears, I did. I even gave them a final exam, because that is the kind of mother I was. I wanted my children fully informed. And when it came to things like condom placements, I had an actual person come in and demonstrate it. I did. The unfortunate part, dears, about that was he couldn't self-pleasure himself to get the erection, so to demonstrate the condom. So it was up to me as the teacher. To be a bit of a fluffer for him. And it was perfectly fine because it was educational. So I did fluff him, and we demonstrated the condom. And then I told the children class was dismissed because I had to help him pack away his stuff. I did. But there was no penetration, my dears. There was no penetration. But I did successfully help him finish his business. But that's as far as I will tell you. I won't tell you if I actually touched him or if he just looked at my body. But I was a bit of a devil. I was. But I will say I didn't cheat on my husband. And I know what you're saying. How can you touch another man's willy and it not be cheating? Well, my dears, it's not cheating in my case. I say that to you. It's cheating in my case. I had to help because I was the lady, my dear, but I was also the teacher. And I had to teach my children correct condom placement. No worries, my darling, my little Grammy dear. I will be ending my stream in a few minutes anyways, darling, because I must rush myself and get ready, get in my luxurious pajamas, and get my bits of alcoholic beverages ready, my liquor, because I love a bit of liquor. Get my liquor ready. Tom the Python. Who's Tom the Python, my dear? Yes, to call educational purposes. Oh, my darling, I couldn't wear gloves, dear. I couldn't wear gloves. No, my dear, he couldn't get erect if there was cloth rubbing against him. He needed the firm hand of a human. Oh, your python. Oh, Tom's python. Tom, I would tame your python any day, my dear. I would. I'd tame it. I'd be the python princess, darling. I would. Oh, Tom. You'd have to go you would have to go to your eye doctor, darling, because by the time I was done with you, your eyes would roll back into your head and they'd never come back. You'd have to go to your eye doctor. You would, Tom. Yes, you would, Tom. Oh, dear Tom. You have no idea, darling. You have no idea. Pretty genius with your little eyes. I love it. I love it, darlings. I love it. Well, my dears, I'm going to have another quick cup of tea. Do you mind? Do you mind staying on for a bit longer with me? Just a bit longer. Oh, I love you too, darlings. Okay, just a bit longer. Just enough for one more cup of tea. One more cup of tea with me. I'm enjoying my time. The time flies, my dears. I must pull myself up. Hang on. Watch for the bosoms, my dears. Watch for the bosoms. There we go. They're floppy. I've got to get a tit lift. I got to get a tit lift. When I get to the United States of America, I will get a tit lift. Seamstress girl, my dears. Hello, darling. How are you, my darling? Hello, 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 dear. Dishes and dinner can both wait. Desiree, you're a gem. You're a gem. You are. Right, diluted, exactly. I mean, for bloody sake, I'm only 55. I will be 55. 55 years old. I shouldn't have tits down to my knees, darling. I shouldn't. And one would think that a former stripper turned Duchess would have tits of iron, darling. They should be perky and plump. Well, they're plump. They're plump. But they're not as perky as they used to. And not as high as they used to be either. They're very low on the totem pole, darling, you see. Very low, very low on the totem pole, like that. They should be up here, darling. Instead, they're down here. They're down there, dear. Gravity and age are taking its toll on your Duchess, my darlings. It is. I got to put my tiara back up. It slips. My tiaras, they seem to slip. Especially, I don't know. There we go, darlings, there we go. That's much better. Yes, my dears, no bitch is getting a hold of this. No future Duchess of Beaverton. Isn't it gorgeous? I'm going to take it. I want to show you, my dears. I want to show you. Carrie, look how delightful. Look how delicious. Look how delicious this is, right? Isn't it gorgeous? It's gorgeous. I do love it. I do love it. It is one of my favorite pieces. My favorite headwear. It's gorgeous. I need one of those witchy bras. I do. I do. Is Tom blushing? He should be blushing because I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him and train his python. I am going to. Thank you, pretty genius, darling. I do thank you so much. Talk to a person called Foodie Beauty. She's got bras for me. I need the lifting bras, dear. And does she have the lifting bras? I've seen some of her bras because she shows everything on her videos sometimes, darling. I've seen a hair. I've seen a nipple here and there. I have. D-Girl, my dear, thank you so much for that super chat. I hope you don't mind, my darlings, but the super chats and super stickers that do end up going through are going to be donated to Samantha. I hope you don't mind, my dear, but I do appreciate it, and I will read your super chat now. For bestowing us with your wonderful storytelling, storytelling and the gorgeous Samantha. Thank you, XOXO T-Girl, you're delicious and delightful. And we both thank you, darling. Do you have a P.O Box, Duchess? If not, have you considered? Miah, my dear, Miah, oh, darling, I'm spilling my tea. I got so excited. Hang on, my dears, hang on. It's not very Duchess approved to spill your tea. Miah, my dear Anna, Miah has the P.O. Box. And if there's things you would love to send to me, you may send them to Miah, and he will get them to me. And it'll be easier for him to get them to me when I move to America. But I want to show you something, my darling. This came post-haste today. It was given to Miah to give to me as a delightful, glorious, and delicious fan. So things that are sent to me do come to me eventually. Once Miah gets them, he borrowed this. He borrowed it for a couple of days. But he wanted me to have it, and it came so fast, my dear. You would think it went from one room to another. That's how fast it came to me. It's true. So I thank you. If you would love to send a card or things to me, thank you, darling. Oh, thank you, darling. Oh, I do love my rings as well, dear. I love all of my jewelry. I do. My little droplet earrings that are hiding behind my hair. My lovely bejeweled glasses that I love. Dee Dee, my dear, thank you, darling. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks for giving to GoFundMe. Thank you, Dee Dee, my darling. And that will go to the GoFundMe today as well. Thank you so much, my dear. Teddy Bear, my darling. D. Higgins, little D. Higgins. Hello, my dear. I yearn for the day, Dee, that once I'm in America, that I can just fly on down to see you, my darling, and spend a day or two with you, having tea, or maybe something a lot harder than tea, my dear. Yes. Yes, Shavita, my darling. Excuse me, my dears. Thank you, darling. Yes, my fan is gorgeous. It is. Don't be jealous, my dear. Don't be jealous. My darling, what was your question? I'm so sorry. I'm trying to keep on top of things. I think I have something to send you. Okay, Anna, my dear. I would love it. I would love it. Shavita, what question, my darling? Can you write it again? Can you write it again? Yes, a Long Island, absolutely. And it will be a long, long, long island, my darling. A long, long island. The island will be so long, darling, it'll take us a month to climb it. To climb the island. Because it'll be so long. You get my drift, my dear? It'll be so long, darling. We'll be flying, my dear. We will be flying. Ha ha! Because despite what you think, tea is not the only thing I do enjoy. I love an adult beverage here and there. And everywhere, my dears, and everywhere I do. The stronger the better. That's what I like. The stronger the better. I want all the what hair I have left to stand on end, my dears. What hair I have left, I want to stand on end. That's how strong I want my liquor. Ah, ah. Oh, a Manhattan. I'll take a man. You can have the Hatton, darling. Ah, ah. Darling, what was your question, my dear? Shavita, my darling. Can you repeat your question, darling? Can you repeat it, please? Taurine Mail, hello, dear. It's been a long time since we've seen you on any one of our little live streams. It is. You've been on everybody else's, you little minx, but you haven't been on mine, darling. It's nice to see you, my dear. It is nice to see you. Stiffies for all. Oh, stiff drinks. Yes, stiff drinks. I thought you said stiffies for all, darling. I would have been on board with that too, my dear. I would have. Shavita, darling. Can someone please find her question for me and type it? I can't find the bloody thing. I can't. Can somebody please? Shavita's question. So if she does leave before I answer it, then she can watch it on the replay. You can't find it either? Maybe the Google police took it away like those little bastards do. Bastards. Yes, my dear. Trisha, yes, my darling. Who's up next on the Mayathon? Up next, Tom, at 7 p.m., you will be watching Miah do the Shimones and singing badly for the 72 hours that it usually takes him to complete it. Andre Louis Ortiz, hello, darling. Come to Albany, New York for a stiffy. I'll be close enough to Albany, my darling. I shall be close enough to Albany, and I will take you up on that offer for a stiffy. Yes. Shavita, my darling, your question has disappeared. I think Google has taken it away, my dear. Yes, Mr. Ortiz, I'm coming. Coming to the United States of America. To upstate New York. I am. Maybe I'll run into you, my dear. Do you do love or hookup sites, Duchess? My darling, I want to be completely and totally honest with you. Oh, and by the way, Andre, welcome, darling, and hello. I forgot to welcome you, my dear. To be honest with you, darling, hookup sites and dating sites are one and the same these days. Unless you want to pay for it. If you want to pay for it, like ourtime.com or eHarmony, you know, the Tinder, darling. The Tinder used to be, it started out like a lovely little dating site. And now it's a bunch of hookups, darling. It's like, hello, show us your minge. Hello, show us your willy. You know, darling, if you want to find love, you've got to be very careful these days. You've got to be very careful. Unfortunately, we can't do what we used to do and go to the bar. Or in my case, the strip club, darlings. Did she leave? Oh, silent the poor homosexuals and bisexuals. And the poor men that just want to get their willy whacked. They go to the grinder. And that's nothing but a bit of a hookup site too, my dears. Unfortunately. Karate Karen, darling, I don't know why you're asking Miah. Miah's not here, darling. It's me, the Duchess, darling. Hello, open your eyes, darling. It's all right. Open your eyes, dear. Shavita, maybe if you did 2 words at a time and we could put the sentence together. Maybe we can fool the Google. We'll fool the Google bastards. Google bastards, darling. Stay out of my live streams, dear. And stay out of Miah's live streams as well. We have our moderators. Miah's not behind the camera, Tom. Miah's not even in the same country, my dear. He's too busy probably taking a poop or something, getting ready for his 8-hour singing in Shabones. He's a busy, busy fat bastard, darling. He is. That's all right, my dear. That's all right, Karen, darling. No worries. I'm sipping on tea, my dear. I am sipping on tea. I would have biscuits or cakes or possibly some cucumber sandwiches, but I had quite a big lunch this afternoon. Bigger than I had expected to, darling. A bigger lunch than I expected to, honestly. And so I'm just drinking some tea because I want to be there watching Miah doing the shabones and singing because I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it. Oh, I want to hear the naughty question there. They probably blocked certain things. They probably did. There's an Amber Alert. Oh, dear. I was in a bar about 2 years ago. Does that mean I don't get some? Don't get some what, dear? Yes, darling Karen. He is busy practicing. He is getting everything together. He's a busy, busy little bastard, he is. Yes. He's been busy since early this morning, he has. It's been go, go, go ever since. Shavita, go around. I'll know, darling, if you figure it out. I will figure it out. Any words like use 0 for O or... You know what you could do, my dear Shavita? Oh, you did it! Was it difficult for you to find your G-spot? No, my dear, it was not. I'll never forget the day I found my G-spot. It was a tremendous day. It was. For it was the G-spot. It was the G-spot on my honeymoon that caused me to go bald. Which is why I wear the wigs. But I found my G-spot way before that, my dear. I did. When I was a bit younger, before I had really gotten into the men, before I'd gotten into the boys, as it were, I was perusing my minge. I was prodding it. I was giving it the go. Giving it the go over. I was. When suddenly, my dear, as I was perusing it with all sorts of things, all sorts of objects and stuff, I was one of those curious ones that what could I do? What could I possibly use? Let me look in the cupboards. Let me look under the sink. What could I use to pleasure my minge? And as I was perusing my minge, I hit something. I hit something, my darling, and it sent a shockwave through my body. And that, my dears, was the G-spot. It was. It was my favorite spot. It was. And it was quite, I wouldn't say easy to find, my dear. But once I found it, darling, I didn't forget it. I didn't forget its location. I didn't. And from then on, my darling, I would show every man that I had the location. I would draw a map for him if I had to. I'd draw an inner map. A dissection of the inside of my lower body. And I would draw a little map for him and say, my dear, follow the yellow brick road, my darling. Be like Dorothy, my dear, and follow the yellow brick road. Yes, I did. I'm all about maps and charts, darling, as if I told you about teaching my children about sexual education. Maps and charts, darling. Yes, like a pirate, darling. X marks the G-spot, exactly, dear. It wasn't yellow, darling, but you get the drift, my dear. You get the drift. Follow the yellow brick road to the land of Oz, darling, the land of Oz. Show me the wizard, my dear. Show me the wizard. Show me the wizard and you'll be one hell of a happy man. You shall. Okay, my darlings, I finished my tea. I must go to the loo now. I'm feeling it in my bladder. I am. Plus, I must go get ready for this evening's festivities to watch with you the Emerald City. Yes, Desiree, yes. Take me to the Emerald City, and I'll show you the wizard. There you go, darling. That's even better. I like it. Take me to the Emerald City, and I'll show you the wizard, darling. I will. Good one, Desiree, darling. You get half the credit. You get half the credit for that joke, my darling. Half the credit. One more question from Anna, and then I must dash. I must. Anna says, Duchess, get some D if I want, or get men approaching me in public. Animals and men really like me, I've noticed. And I am the expectation of the rule. Nobody comes to your house. Yes, they do. Is that a question, dear, or a statement? I'm not quite sure what's going on there, my darling. Let me reread that again, dear. Duchess, get some D if I want, or get men approaching me in public. Animals and men really like me. I've noticed, and I'm the expectation of the rule. Nobody comes to your house. Yes, they do. Is that supposed to be me talking, my darling, or is that you? Do men and animals approach you, my dear? Is that what you're saying, my darling? I'm not quite sure how that goes, dear. The way it's written, it sounds like when you put Duchess with the little dots right there, darling, it looks like it would be something that I said. And I don't imagine I said that about animals, dear. I don't think I did. Male animals approach you, dear. Well, they want to see a python. They do. All right, my darlings. I must dash. I really must. There's many things I must get done before joining you for the Shimbones and Singing at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would like to thank you all for coming to join me with this very, very long tea time. Over an hour and a half we did, darlings. We did it. An hour and a half. I'd like to thank the moderators for showing up and doing a delicious job. I love it. You all are amazing, amazing, amazing. I know now why Miah loves you all so very much. You're all beavers, and it's delightful. And thank you for the super chats, my darling. They will be going to there's a GoFundMe. I'm so proud. We have 62 thumbs up. I'm loving it, my darling. Sweet potato, hello, darling. I'm so sorry I missed you. I hope you're enjoying the Mayathon because I know Miah has been enjoying it, and I am pleased and honored, and I have enjoyed my time here as well. Exception of the rule. Yes, there's always exceptions to the rule, Anna, my darling. There is. We will dive into that more later. Maybe we'll do Duchess chat sometime soon. Maybe a live chat. And we'll go over all these sexual things, my dears. All right, my darlings? I'm so glad we have this time such a sweet sorrow. Yes, it is, T-Girl. T-Girl, it is. I thank you all so very much. And what I will end you with is a royal goodbye. A royal wave. A royal wave from the Duchess to you. Goodbye. farewell. Good evening. We will talk to you later, my darling. Adios, adios. Enjoy tonight, my darlings. Get some rest and enjoy your sing-along tonight. Good night and take care all. I love you and goodbye.